JDiv is back at it here to give everyone my very first Breaking Bad Season 4 episode reaction video, but before I continue with that, pretty important if you're not caught up to the point where I am, you're rewatching or watching Breaking Bad, or you're just not sure, then you should probably take the initiative and pay attention to the episode title, which I'll say and put in the description for you. If that's the case, you find out you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. This is going to be Breaking Bad Season 4, Episode number 1. Title of this episode is called Box Cutter. This is going to be my reaction, review, recap after just watching the episode. So we have a pre-credits flashback sequence where the meth manufacturer, Gale Boetticher, excitedly sets up equipment in an underground meth lab, or meth super lab, I guess, for the drug kingpin known as Gustavo Fring. And Gale asks Gus about the blue meth being produced by the chemist Walter White, who is not yet working for Gus. Gus explains he has reservations about hiring Walt, but Gale insists Gus hire him because of his superior product. And then, of course, we go to the present time period where Jesse has just shot Gale to death on an order. Well, it wasn't necessarily an order from Walt, essentially telling him to do that to foil Gus's plot to kill and replace them. Now, Gus's henchman, or his one henchman, Victor, arrives at Gale's apartment and finds him dead, surrounded by neighbors who have just called the police. Victor finds a stunned Jesse sitting in a car and forces him to return to the lab, where Mike Ehrmantraut is holding Walt hostage, so to speak. Now, Mike, who is concerned that Victor was seen at Gale's apartment, calls to inform Gus. Victor, who realizes his own position is precarious because witnesses saw him at Gale's, has watched Walt work and starts cooking meth himself to prove that he has value to Gus and that Gus does not need Walt or Jesse. Now, he says it's essentially a cook. It's a recipe. You follow instructions. And then Walt grows concerned when Victor proves better at the process than he expected, because Walt thought he would forget certain details of it, and he, at the moment, did not. Now, Walt's wife, Skyler, observes his car in her driveway and, not wishing Walter Jr. to see it, parks it a few blocks away to conceal it. And then, concerned about Walt's apparent disappearance, she calls Saul Goodman, but has become paranoid because of Walt's falling out with Gus and is too busy checking his office for listening devices. That's what Saul's doing. Now, Skyler hires a locksmith to break into Walt's condo, claiming she lives there. He hesitates to do so without verifying her dress, and then Skyler claims that her purse was stolen and fakes a panic attack and says something about medication until he finally lets her in, but she finds little of interest in the apartment. Now, elsewhere, Marie struggles to maintain her composure while caring for belligerent Hank, who is still bedridden and still shitting himself on the attempted assassination by the twins. And so back to the lab. So Gus finally arrives at the lab, but says nothing at first. Walt launches into a nervous, rambling monologue of excuses and justifications for what he did or what Jesse did, trying to convince Gus he needs him and Jesse alive. He claims it is Gus who is ultimately responsible for Gale's death, not them, and insists Victor cannot produce the high-quality meth that Gus needs and his customers expect. Now, Gus maintains his silence even while changing into a hazmat suit and selecting a box cutter from the storage shelf, while Victor grins in anticipation. Gus never changes his demeanor, and then Gus suddenly slices Victor's throat, startling the others. Blood gets all over Walt and a little bit on Jesse. Though the killing, Gus simultaneously punishes Victor while delivering a stern warning to Walt and Jesse. So killing Victor was a warning to Walt and Jesse, like, don't fuck with me, this will happen to you next, essentially. And then Gus drops the body onto the floor and coldly eyes the duo to ensure his message was well received. I think message was received there. And then he quietly returns to his street clothes, then walks out of the lab. And then he pauses as he's walking on the catwalk and says, well, get back to work, like nothing happened. And then later, Walt and Jesse dispose of Victor's body, Mike helps out a little bit. They also dispose of the gun that killed Gale Bedecker and, of course, the box cutter in a barrel of hydrofluoric acid. And then Walt and Jesse go to breakfast, and Walt insists that Gale's death was necessary, but expresses concern that Gus will kill them at the next opportunity. Of course, that bought them some time, and Jesse doubts this, believing it will be too much trouble for Gus to find another drug manufacturer, that both they and Gus understand the situation. Neither can kill the other, so Gus might as well make them wish they were dead. And then the episode actually ends, well, Walt gets home, and Skyler, he has different clothes on because blood got in his clothes, and Walt's like, Skyler's like Kenny Rogers, and Walt's just like, and she's like, your car's parked 3 blocks down. And the episode actually ends with the police investigating Gale's apartment, and it focuses on the lab notes book, which have yet to be discovered. So pretty good episode, pretty crazy with what Gus did. I really liked it. It's a little slow, but I think it was good because we just had some craziness at the end of season 3. I'm going to give the episode a 9.2 out of 10. The character of this episode, even though he didn't say a lot, except, well, get back to work, I'm going to give it to Gus because just his body language and like his blank, like cold stare was enough to put chills down your spine, I think. So you've heard what I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Breaking Bad, which I know you are, everybody likes Breaking Bad, unless you didn't get past the first season, which if you didn't get past the first season, you didn't give it enough of a chance because the show is amazing. And when I first watched this show back in 2013, I didn't really like a lot of the characters, but I kept watching it. Some of the characters annoyed the shit out of me, like Skyler, Walter Jr., Hank, who I've come around on. Marie still irritates me. I really only liked Walt, Mike, Gus, sometimes Saul, but at first he got annoying too, or he got on my nerves too. So just make sure you smash that like button because I know you like the show. If anybody that you know would be interested in this, go ahead and share the video with them. Don't forget to leave me a comment. You can talk about anything Breaking Bad related. I have not seen Better Call Saul other than a few episodes in the first season, so might want to hold off on that. I do think I'll watch that at some point. I don't know when, but it would kind of be nice to watch that because I know a lot of characters return in Better Call Saul, even people that died because it's a prequel, and it would be nice to kind of maybe tie up some loose ends, or this is how this happened, this is how this person met this person, or whatever the case may be. But we can definitely talk about Breaking Bad. We can definitely talk about El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. And of course, last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. That's the important thing. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return.